All right, kids, we're about ready to get this thing started. It's a good morning. Beautiful day. And I plan on having a better day today than I had yesterday. Because, y'all, yesterday was just, everything went wrong. It was just a shitty day. Steve, we're going to talk about you a little bit this morning. Crack shot. That is the name that I want to see in my chat on Firearms Friday. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, push buttons.
Let's do this. Yeah, I could do it, but that idea goes to Camp Anawana. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I see Maul joined us this morning, too.
God.
Oh, yeah, salute your shorts, baby.
No. I just now put that together. I love that show.
Yeah, it's Camp I Don't Want To. Camp Anawana.
I literally just put that together.
I bet you neither one of us have watched an episode of that silly show in
Like
25
years.
25, yeah. I don't think I've seen an episode of Salute Your Shorts since I moved to Georgia the first time. Well, since I moved back the first time. Oh,
Dave's in the running for top comment.
well, yesterday you weren't here, and I started the show, and I forgot to turn the lights on, and I explained to everybody, and it wasn't Cameron's fault that the lights weren't on. It was my fault for not turning them on, but I forgot because I've gotten so used to Cameron doing that when he comes in. So, good morning, guys, and to the thing we were talking about earlier, I didn't get to this part yet. I do want you to do the introductory monologue piece, but before we get to that, to set up the rest of the show, I want to give a shout out on this. Mom sent me this article. This article from WSB TV Atlanta from just earlier this week. Newton County, Georgia. A Georgia man found himself in handcuffs after protecting his home from intruders, he said. Now, today we're going to be talking about some specific other stuff, and we're not going to be doing the DGUs, with this one exception. So, after a while, you can't take no more, Steve Bannister told Channel 2's Matt Johnson. I've reached out to Steve Bannister just recently, though, and I imagine he's busy with what's going on around this. Hopefully, we can catch him and maybe get an interview with him. I'm trying for that. Wouldn't it? So, Bannister said his wife, and child were living in fear after multiple car break-ins in their own driveway. Oh,
dude, Crooked Creek's only like 6 or 7 miles down the road, literally.
Right. And I've had this problem here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had my pickup truck broken into on Christmas Eve. The sons of bitches stole all my cigarettes, which made for a terrible conversation with the cops.
Christmas Eve.
I sent one of the cops I sent one of the cops while the other one was taking my report to go buy me cigarettes because I was in a foul mood. But at that point, when
it's
you
like
feel
stealing
helpless.
from a church. Like, what kind of a piece of shit are you?
The one crackhead that came in my garage in the middle of the night.
I remember this. I was here.
He stole empty 5-gallon water jugs. The
and
cops
then left
brought
them on
them back
the side
to
of the
me.
road.
The cops recovered them as evidence and tried to give them back to me. I said, y'all can have those. I just want, I want this other stuff, which was like armor plates and airsoft guns and ammo cans full of BBs and tools and stuff.
To be fair, though, that guy was so whacked out of his gourd, he, honest to God, might not have been aware of the fact that he was committing felonies.
Probably.
Like, I talked to him. He was that high.
It's a miracle he didn't get shot, because as soon as you let me know what was going on, I called the police. I had him on my Bluetooth, and then I was out in the street with a pistol in one hand and my flashlight in the other. When the cops arrived, when the sheriff's department arrived, I met them in the street in like flip-flops and boxer shorts with a pistol and a flashlight. Like, so here's what happened.
And it's amazing that he got as far as he did, because, like, dude, he just came stumbling out of your parents' yard, and it was like anyhow.
Anyway, so Bannister said that they were living in fear after car break-ins. At that point, you know, when you feel helpless, you have to help yourself, he said. So in August 2018, the Army veteran shot someone who had broken into his car yet again on Crooked Creek Way in Covington. Body camera video from the Newton County Sheriff's Office shows the bullet holes on the driver's side window. The teen suspect and 2 others were arrested, but so was Bannister. Still doesn't make any sense, he said. Defending my family, my home, and charged. Newton County Sheriff's Office charged him with 2 counts of aggravated assault and 2 other felonies. Bannister said it cost him his job. Because I got charged with the case, they let me go, he said. But Bannister always believed he was acting in self-defense. Why is it that my client didn't get the benefit of the doubt, attorney Chris Howard said. Chris Howard with Mitnick and Howard, the Bulldog firm, took the case and filed a self-defense motion. Monday, 4 years later, the Alcovey Circuit Court District Attorney took steps to stop prosecuting and drop the charges. They made the right decision. They decided that my client was protecting his home and that this was protected by Georgia law. That's not a decision. That's the law.
Well, in this statute of limitations territory, too, in the state of Georgia, most felonies have a statute of limitations of 4 years.
Right.
So if they haven't prosecuted him at the 4-year point, it's time to drop the charges anyway. Hey,
Dave asks, what's a crackhead going to do with solar panels anyway? He's going to cook meth, Dave. That's what he's going to do. Haven't you watched Breaking Bad? When your meth lab breaks down in the middle of the desert, you're in trouble, man. You got to make plans.
Hey, what you want to bet we can make some assumptions that the vet is white and that the Utes are not?
In this area, guarantee. And Maul points out, Maul says, and he has since died from possible overdose. To be clear, she's talking about the guy that broke into my garage, not Mr. Bannister.
And like half a dozen other garages?
Yeah.
Like,
in the
that
same
was
night.
Weird.
It was a weird night.
It was a very weird night.
So I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Bannister, and if you happen to have clicked on to watch the show today, Stephen, I do hope you get in contact with us. I reached out to you on Facebook. I reached out to you with my personal page, so a message from Christopher Lowry, and I hope you respond. I might even go so far as to aggravate you and contact your lawyers to see if we can work something out. That would be fantastic. And yes, Alex, that's correct. They charged him, and 4 years later still hadn't prosecuted. And that is...
That's a thing that we need
not surprising.
Yes, that's a thing that we need not talk about now.
Right.
But maybe we'll talk about later. Because reasons.
Just understand, if you have a public defender, he can bill you for his work if he loses your case.
And that's not even the
That's
half
correct.
of it.
That's just the beginning. We're digging into that iceberg in a big way. And that's just the tip of it. But that's correct. The public defenders, not in all jurisdictions, but in many of the jurisdictions in the state of Georgia, are actively financially incentivized to lose your case. So
okay.
Understanding that, before you do your spiel, do you want to start with this thing, or do you want to start with... you want to start with this thing, and then there's this thing.
Well, let me just tee it up, and then
Okay.
we'll go to the cringe fest and go from there. I'll skip right to the end and give you the thesis statement. And Chris and I are going to have slightly different takes on this, even though they amount to the same thing. But here's the deal. Nothing is going to happen. No legislation is going to get passed. No meaningful gun control, even meaningless gun control. Nothing is going to happen, especially if it in any way even approaches being a solution to this problem. And here's why. Here's the cynical take, but go ahead, change my mind. Prove me wrong. Democrats don't want the problem solved. Nothing slaps like dead kids, y'all. Nothing's going to get your attention like dead babies. Nothing's going to upset you and get you to the polls like murdered elementary school students. Ergo, cynical as it sounds, Democrats ain't solving this problem. It's not going to happen. They want you pissed. They want you going to the polls. They want to be able to grandstand. Except, God, they're terrible at it. Can we just... Okay, I think we're there. I've made the point. Yeah.
Okay.
Just as... You know, it's funny that you mentioned Beto, Dave, because...
That's hilarious. Because we've got this press conference.
Yeah, let's just listen.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment. Sit down and don't play this stuff. No, he should get his ass out of here. Just take the place and talk this over. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
I mean,
he could walk away with his head hanging.
Look, and we don't even have to finish it. But the whole
Beto
thing,
mail.
the whole thing goes the same way. Beto continues to say things and get heckled the whole way out, and like, I love the dude in the back in the walker that stands up like he's actually going to do something.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny though?
I don't doubt that he would.
That's actually where I was going. Be
Old
like,
dude in Texas with a walker? That walker's probably a minigun.
or he's just willing to beat you to death with the walker.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's
I'll
start.
stab you through these tennis balls, you son of a bitch!
So, exactly. Okay, so let me just start with, like, if we want to be cynical and cold-blooded and talk about political optics and all that, okay?
Oh, that's for you, St. Michael.
That was fantastic. Walker, Texas Ranger. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so, first things first, if Beto wanted to turn this into a political victory, all he had to do was call Greg Abbott and say, let me on stage with you guys. Let's be adults for an afternoon and show solidarity because there's dead kids.
Right, and you know, there's nothing to stop him from recording that conversation. And either he gets to go up on stage with Abbott and take a position and get some face time, get some name recognition, or he gets to come out immediately and say, hey, I reached out to the governor to try and reach across the aisle and do a bipartisan thing, do a good thing, and he refused, right? So, you know, Beto had a fantastic opportunity there if he wanted to grandstand and get some political points standing on these dead kids. There was an easy trap lock win.
Like it was right there.
Like he could have forced Abbott into that corner, but the fact is he's not that bright. I mean, the guy's a dirt eater.
Again, man, it's not that I think the majority of these people are not stupid. I think they're intelligent. They're just so fake and narcissistic and sociopathic that somewhere in Beto's mind, he thought he was going to be the one getting applause here.
Right.
His inability to read the room. Look, somebody with Asperger's could have read that room better.
Talk about read the room.
I mean... Like, I love how they all stood up and circled him. Like, at no point in time...
Elon can read the shit out of a room.
Yeah, okay. And you'd have thought that, like, what kind of masculine experiences is Beto lacking? Like, if you're ever in a room and a bunch of dudes stand up and look at you and give you the stink eye, that's shut the fuck up territory right there.
100%. And you know what? You know what? We've talked a little bit about the baby formula shortage, but honestly, I blame Beto on baby formula.
Go ahead.
It's made of soy.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm serious as a heart attack. The introduction of baby formula has made it easier for women who don't produce sufficiently to feed children and help lower the mortality rate. It's also turned our men into bitches.
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to ask this question real quick.
Were you breastfed 100%?
No,
I was.
brother. You were going to be about that size no matter what.
Maybe.
Probably.
My folks are not huge people. Dad's almost 6 foot tall. That's right, Sergeant Major. I'm shaving that 1/4 inch for you.
Look.
Beta Osoyric. Wow.
Okay.
Well played, crack shot.
So, here's the deal, though, okay? What is this bizarre obsession that Democrats have with, like, the AstroTurfed candidate? Like, between him and Stacey Abrams, like, neither one of them can win a damn thing.
Right, and how is it that Stacey Abrams appears to be missing the tooth that Beto lost skateboarding?
There you go. Or you know, the only difference between Beto and Stacey Abrams is Stacey Abrams hasn't had a failed presidential campaign yet. Yet. That's coming.
2024.
I mean, seriously.
And it's going to be hilarious.
I mean, seriously, who had the bigger cringe moment? Stacey Abrams saying that the state that she lives in and wants to govern is a terrible place to live? Or Beto O'Rourke acting like a moron on...
Right. You know, that Georgia's the worst state in the country to live. God, you know what it smells like? It smells like that time when... It smells like that time when Big Mike said, "For the first time, I'm proud of America. I'm proud of my country."
Oh. You know what it is?
And St. Michael, you're not talking about one of those bullshit Swisher Sweets with the little wooden tip on it. You're talking about the blunt.
You know what it is? You know how, like, some whales have...
Barbie.
Hey, you know how some whales have got like the filter feeders in their mouth?
Oh yeah.
What if it's just the right size
just
to
there
suck
for sucking in
the cream right out of the middle of a Twinkie? Yes, yeah, we're totally engaging in
It's for striping corn cobs.
There you go. And yeah, we're totally engaging in.
It's exactly one kernel wide.
That's right. We're engaging in ad hominem with Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke because have you heard them speak? Like, they don't have arguments to defeat.
No. I mean, Stacey Abrams' position is that every vote needs to count, especially the illegal aliens. That's not a claim. That's a quote.
Right. Okay, but
to bolster Cameron's point.
I was about to go here, but go ahead, please.
Okay, to bolster Cameron's point. So there was another point that I was making earlier. Cameron is correct. The Democrats do not want to solve the problem of gun violence. They do, however, want to disarm you. And the two things can be true at the same time. Because they know damn well you cannot disarm the criminal element. Right? Mass shooting is already a crime. Murder is already a crime. Right? Hell, even entering the school building with a firearm was already a crime. This person was unconcerned with any of those things. Now, the argument will be made that he got his guns legally. Okay. He still committed crimes with them. Now, so if you're going to tell me that not being able to purchase a firearm legally is equal to not being able to acquire a firearm at all, that's a different conversation. But the fact of the matter is, that is not the case. Firearms will still be available in black market scenarios. And more to the point, it doesn't take a firearm to kill a bunch of people.
Well, in the world of 3D printers, it's only a matter of time before gun control is going to not even exist anymore. Because you literally will not... Yeah, I know, I saw that. That was fun.
I got to gloss over because we need to punch forward.
That's right, but that's a fantastic comment, Dave.
You like a summer sausage?
With a sarsaparilla. Yeah, I know.
succotash. But Cameron's right. They don't want to solve the problem, but they do want to disarm you. And so the beauty of this strategy is if they do manage to disarm the American citizen, then they end up with a lot more dead kids they can stand on to get votes off that emotional generation. Now, to prove Cameron's point, I want to bring this up. This is from yesterday.
While you're transitioning,
and I do want to give some credit real quick. Shout out to Scott Mouche, the Senate comedian, who sent me this article. And hey, Scott, yes, we want to cover this on not the news, maybe later, but we're not doing another show for 2 weeks, and this needs to be covered to now.
Real quick, Alex says, I asked a second ago, but I think it went by in the chat. Were you ever trained in a military base to stand by and wait for backup if an active shooter came to the base? Oh, hell no.
That is correct, Alex. The answer to that is hell no.
And
okay.
that backs up where we were going.
It does, but Alex, you just touched on something and Sergeant Major's watching. I wish my favorite Ninja Turtle and my favorite Roman dissident were watching this morning, because this is a conversation we've had many, many times. Steve, shit up your nose, homeboy. I'm going to talk about you in a minute. It is a source of constant aggravation, frustration, and irritation to me that our armed forces, our service members in the armed forces are not always armed. In fact, to a great degree, they are disarmed. It's excruciatingly prohibitive to keep and own a firearm and store it in your own home if you live on a military base. And if you live off base and are active duty, it's very prohibitively difficult to get authorized to carry your personal firearm while you're in uniform. The fact is, if you are a member of the armed forces, then the AR 670-1 should require you in uniform. No, 670-1 is PT. Anyway, you should be required in uniform. It should be part of your uniform. Just like if I'm your sergeant and I come up and say, "Hey, let me see show me your pen, show me a notepad, show me your ID card, show me your dog tags." You're required to have those things on that, or you are out of uniform. You should be wearing a goddamn gun. If you are wearing my flag, if you are wearing this uniform, you should be wearing, at a minimum, your sidearm. You should have a 9mm pistol. You should have a Beretta, and it should have one in the chamber, a full magazine, and at least 2 backup magazines. That should be standard. It doesn't have to be in a Serpa paddle. It can just be high on the belt, but you should be wearing that firearm on base at all times. Alex, that is a fact. Unless you are in a war zone, right? Now, obviously in Afghanistan, I'm walking around with my rifle at all times, but we had a mass shooting. This was several years ago. We had a mass shooting at a Marine Corps recruiting office. And how in the hell does an armed civilian walk into a Marine Corps facility, open fire, and not get immediately greased?
Well, that's one of the things that's bizarre about most other militaries. You're in uniform, you're packing. When you see soldiers in uniform virtually everywhere else in the world, they're also armed. Even those bizarre guards for the Vatican at least carry spears. Like, it's...
yeah, you don't want none of those.
No, I don't want to get stabbed with a spear. You are correct.
I was right. 670-1 is wearing appearance in the uniform. Hot damn.
But yeah, like, I've never understood why a Beretta is not part of the military uniform. Like, because you're wearing the uniform, you're a target now.
Yep.
And you can't return fire?
And hey, let me be clear. I mean, even if you are traveling by civilian air, if you are in uniform, you should be armed. If you've got a soldier on your flight and a terrorist is trying to do a hijacking, and you've got soldiers on your flight who have had their teeth removed for the comfort and convenience of your insane little psychopath. Okay, we're way off on a tangent
Yeah,
that
all right.
I had not intended this morning.
Yeah, let's just go back while we've got a
So,
moment.
as I was saying, Cameron is right. They don't want to solve the problem. And to bolster his point, I want to bring you to this article from yesterday. Schumer blocks Senate GOP school safety bill, angering Republicans. You're a liar and a hack, Senator Rick Scott tweeted to Schumer after he blocked Luke and Alex School Safety Act. Now, I'm going to say this about the act on the front end. It was insufficient. That said, it was something, and it wasn't gun control. So, Senate Majority Leader, and we'll get into that just a little bit more. I've got time to run over a little bit this morning.
I don't want to go too far over, but let's get
Senate
to this
Majority
article.
Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, on Wednesday blocked a school safety bill that has Republicans crying foul after the horrific mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas elementary school that killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Senator Ron Johnson, R. Wisconsin, asked for the Luke and Alex School Safety Act to be passed by unanimous consent. The bill, named after Parkland, Florida shooting victims Luke Hoyer and Alex Schachter, would require the Department of Homeland Security to establish a federal clearinghouse on school safety best practices for use by state and local education and law enforcement agencies, institutions of higher education, health professionals, and the public. And it would require the Department of Homeland Security to collect clearinghouse data analytics, user feedback on the implementation of best practices and recommendations identified by the clearinghouse, and any evaluations conducted on these best practices and recommendations. So basically, the bill would have required the Department of Homeland Security to
actually
study,
engage in Homeland Security,
to study what has been done in various schools for the purposes of making the students safer, and collect that data and come and try to figure out what has been working well. Now, I want to bring up this tweet from Steve.
Oh, I can even set it up, because you know what works really, 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 really well? Magnetically locking doors.
Absolutely.
When you've got magnetically locked doors, ladies and gentlemen, you're not opening that mag lock. You will sooner pull the door off its hinges than you will open that mag lock.
I've tried. I've had to breach a mag locked door, and I breached the I breached the mag locked door without additional tools. I pulled on the door until the frame broke loose.
Yes.
But that mag lock held. So Steve Rodemeyer pointed out, and we talked about this a bit yesterday when we were talking about the tactics and strategies and propriety of breaching and clearing a building, right? And this is one of the, we talked a little bit about the single point entry. And Steve points out the fact that so many think that single point entry also means only one way out of a building proves that they cannot have a meaningful opinion of anything and should be ignored. They literally don't understand what it means. Single point entry, you can have a building with literally 1 million entry exit points. But if all of the exit points except for one are locked from the inside so that they can't be opened from the outside, but you have something as simple as the push bar for emergency exit purposes.
Right.
Now you have a single point entry system. So everybody comes in the same way. Magnetometer and an armed guard. Listen, it's this simple. Democrats are perfectly happy to have a magnetometer and an armed guard at the single point on every courthouse, on every prison, on every bank. I can go on, right? But they're not willing to do that to protect your children. It's not complicated. To the Democrat who is currently pushing to abort children after they're born, children, especially your children, are less valuable than money, politicians, or hardened, convicted, violent criminals.
You know, it's funny, you mentioned children. If you go to any modern hospital's birthing wing, those are also all mag-locked. so that nobody walks out with
Correct.
the wrong baby.
And the babies are low-jacked.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's... And that's just...
I got tagged when I was trying to walk out of the building with Eleanor after we had theoretically been released. It was like, okay, everything's done. It's time to take the baby home. Beep, beep, sir. And I'm standing with my baby like, y'all don't want to have this conversation. Y'all don't want... No.
Look. So, further up in the chat, Steve and the Sergeant Major point out that DHS is useless. Feds aren't needed for this. Y'all are correct. Look, y'all are correct, but that's not the point that we're going for here. The point that we're going for here is there is actually an opportunity to do something that would be meaningful. And there's a reason why I keep bringing up the maglocks in particular. That's the kind of thing where, like, even Rand Paul would vote yes on it. Like, even if you were personally opposed to it, are you going to be the senator that votes no to the School Hardening Act? Well, apparently if you're Chuck Schumer, you are. But then you're going to have to lie and say, but it has a potential to introduce more guns into schools. Okay, shitburger. Fine. So we could totally introduce more guns into Ukraine, and I think this is the point that just, like, boggles the mind, right? We can send billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, okay? But we can't... I mean, what do you think it would take? And this is just me spitballing a number, but, I mean, do you think it would take more than $500 million, possibly $1 billion, to harden every school, public and private, across the country?
I don't know. I don't have the figures in front of me to look at.
But it couldn't possibly be much more than that.
It could not. It could not. I agree.
And that's the thing that would work.
I find it difficult to believe that it would cost more than $40 billion to. You know what we could probably get done for $40 billion.
I'd get a lot done.
I'd get a lot done too, but in this particular case, you know what I bet we could do with the $40 billion that was sent to buy guns in Afghanistan, in Ukraine. We could buy guns in America and hand them to every teacher who wants voluntarily to carry. In fact, we could even go so far as to bring this country back into alignment with the Constitution, back into compliance with the Constitution, where the right to keep and bear arms shall not, with no exceptions mentioned, be infringed.
And again, like your dad points out that school hardening could be done by donations. 100%, look, absolutely agree that these are the kinds of things that should be handled locally. But the point that we're driving at is the federal government is in a position of being able to do something and do something meaningful, and they're choosing not to because they don't want to lose the issue. Like, that's what it comes down to. If they lose the issue, they can't slap you over the head with dead babies anymore. They can't have tearful parents on TV going, "Why did this happen?" and make you feel guilty for wanting to exercise your God-given rights. I'm not saying I want the feds to solve the problem. I'm saying this is one of the few problems the feds could potentially solve.
Right.
And they're choosing to not do it on purpose.
Don't get me wrong. DHS goes on the pile with the FBI and the Federal Reserve and
ATF first, IRS second, everybody else.
ATF first, IRS second, Board of Education after that.
There you go.
And then once we've got those three gone,
the others might not be that big of a problem anymore.
I don't really care what order that those three happen in, but those three first. I prefer the ATF goes first, and then the rest of them, just as you get to them.
Then they have to. They're like the guys in Office Space where everybody has to go in and interview with the Bobs to justify their job. The federal agency has to go in front of Congress and justify its continued funding. That would be great. Steve says, "Save lives, ban SSRIs." I don't look. There is some truth to that, but when you look at SSRI use versus SSRI complications, you're probably looking at mathematics of like 250 to 1, 500 to 1. Similar mathematics to like your lawful gun owner versus your criminal gun owner. So I really think the thing to do...
Cameron, if it saves one life.
Yeah, come back to me with abortion. Just say it. If it saves one life.
Oh, come back to me with guns.
I'd love to come back to you with guns. Brother, I promise, if I had my way, like, there'd be, that wall over there would look like something out of a spy movie.
We can do that. Anyway, Ma is asking, what are SSRIs? Specific psychotropic drugs.
Yeah, a specific type of antidepressants. Yeah.
And all these killers are on them. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Here's your safety brief. It is Friday. Yes? Yes.
I think so.
Because we just talked about guns, so it must be Friday.
Well,
guns,
that means
guns,
I got a
guns.
paycheck.
Huh?
That means I got a paycheck.
Groovy. I won't get mine until the middle of next week, the first and all. And then I'll get another one right after that. But it's a thing. Things were easier back when I just got one paycheck from one organization.
Shut up. Things are complicated because I get too many checks. Talk about white girl problems. Jesus. You want some pumpkin spice to go in your fucking coffee?
No. I like my coffee like I like my coffee. Cheap. And less empty.
Then why do you not buy the store brand? That's the...
because it's just not good enough. Anyway, safety brief. Don't drive drink. Don't fry bacon naked. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, firearms, and videotape. No two at the same time. And for God's sake, Alex, try not to shoot yourself in the foot.
Oh, that's an inside
That's
joke.
why the clearing barrel is there, my man. Just up and down range.
Dude, it was the shrapnel. It's too funny, though. Okay, all right.
And I wish you luck with that. And may all your targets hold still. Love you guys. Y'all be safe, and we'll see you Monday. That's the wrong button.